You see that on your screen? You see that there. 2024 NBA champs. Can it happen? Well, on today's episode of Mavericks Today by Chat Sports, Coop and I, Jeffrey Cooperstein, are going to explore 5 reasons why the Mavs could win it all in the 23-24 NBA season. He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. We're going to dive into these reasons right now, starting with number 1. Kyrie Irving, Coop, returns to his top form.
I think Kyrie's going to have a big year, man. It sounds like his head is in the right space. He gets the long-term contract that he wanted with the Mavs. Well, medium-term, 3 years, but he get his security at least. And I think Kyrie is going into a season where he knows what his future lies for the next year. And I think it's going to be a big year for Kyrie. He just tweeted this yesterday where he says he doesn't want any credit or validation. He just wants to get back to the stage and win. Seems like a man on a mission to me, Harrison.
Love that. And look, kudos to your pops, by the way. I think he either replied or quote tweeted this and said something along the lines of, as disappointing as last year was, that might be the fuel that drives this team this year. Because let's just call a spade, Coop. Like, even with the misfits in the roster and et cetera, that should not have been a team that missed the playoffs.
No chance.
There's just no excuse for why that happened. Now, I'll maintain till the day I die that tanking the last couple of weeks was a smart move, and I think the Mavs have greatly benefited from that already.
In hindsight, absolutely it was. It gets you Derek Lively and Omax.
But the point is, you should have never been in the place to consider tanking in the first place. Like, last year was such a disappointment coming off that Western Conference Finals run a year before. I think Luka's going to play angry. We'll talk about him a little bit later. I think Kyrie feels like he's got a lot to prove to this organization and the rest of the NBA. So I'm with you. I think Kyrie has a major year, and if he does, the Mavs are going to be in a good position to have a big season. Now, health is always a question when it comes to Kyrie Irving, and not even just health, just availability. Sometimes he's on hiatus and just, he's you don't know what he's doing. 65 games, over, under. I'd be happy with 65 or more, then be ready for playoff time. Type O for over, U for under. How many games you guys think he'll play this year? Type an O or a U. All right, let's go to number 2 here, Coop. The Mavs return to being a top 10 defense this year, which obviously 2 years ago they were one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Last year, not so much.
Yeah, when they made it to the Western Conference Finals in 21-22, that team was predicated on defense, and Jason Kidd made the defense that team's identity. That obviously changed last year. With the roster mix-up and shake-up and whatnot, losing Jalen Brunson, you add Kyrie at the deadline. So the Mavs just kind of tried to outscore people last year, and it really didn't work that way. When you take a look at the numbers, the Mavs were 3rd in the NBA in opponent points per game given up in 21-22, 16th last year. So they went from a really good defense in 21-22 to, frankly, a below-average defense last season, and I think the difference will be made this year. You get Grant Williams, who's going to be that defensive stalwart that you need. Hopefully you get additional rim protection with Rashawn Holmes and maybe Derek Lively down the stretch. So I think this team's going to be improved defensively.
Yeah, and look, this is probably not a team that's going to be built to be a top 3 or 5 defense, but just because with Luka and Kyrie, there's going to be some deficiencies there. We know, but I think some of it's just simply effort too, right? Like, as great of a year Luka had last year, I think the effort waned on the defensive end, especially as the season went on. He's got to lock in more because we've said it on the show, and I stand by it. When he locks in, he's an above-average defender.
Absolutely.
He's never going to be great, but he's long enough and physical enough where he can at least challenge people on that end of the floor. It's all about effort with him defensively. Again, you mentioned the guys down low. Grant Williams, not just from a literal standpoint, but just from like an emotional standpoint, I think is going to make a big difference. So yeah, I'm with you. The defense should be better. How much better, that remains to be seen, but that should be an emphasis of this team.
In order to win an NBA title, you have to have a top 10 defense.
Yep.
You just have to. You have to be elite on that side of the ball, and hopefully the Mavs get back to that. I think they will be much better on defense this season.
Subscribe to the channel if you want more Mavericks news, rumors, musings, different types of segments like this one. And hey, if you have any content ideas, drop them in the comments. We're always down to try new things. Subscribe right now. We will not let you down. Let's go to number 3 here. You got to get off to a fast start, and even 2 years ago, Coop, that was a problem, and that's been a problem 2 years in a row now with Jason Kidd. Is his team kind of limps out of the gates, like be 5 games above 500 after the first month of the season.
That would be nice. Yeah, they've really limped out of the gate over the past 2 seasons. I think even when they did make the conference finals, they were hovering
16
around
and 18, I believe.
Yeah, they were hovering around 500 over Christmas, and then they kind of turned it on there once Luka returned from his injury and COVID and whatnot. You have to have a better start. I know the Mavs have preached that over the last few seasons. Even going back to the Carlisle days, they kind of did limp out of the gate there at the end as well.
Yeah.
You really just have to start and set the tone for the season, because if you don't set it then, it's very hard to climb back up that mountain, and you're putting yourself in a hole.
And look, like, it's just, I know last year the East was probably better than the West, but the West, I mean, outside of a couple teams, I mean, they're all competitive. Like, you just don't want to be sitting there, 10 and 10, 15 and 15, and then you got to win, the final 50 games, 32 of them, to feel good about where you sit. So you just got to start better.
Look at the West last season. The Lakers were the 7th seed, right? And they made the conference finals.
Yeah.
You can do it. It's something that can be done. You can be a team that maybe isn't expected to win at the beginning of the season and still be there.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the point is like, if you start out on the right foot, you're going to be – it just gives you more flexibility throughout the season too. When things pop up, injuries, etc.
And the Mavs like to be that team that rests their superstars on second nights of back-to-backs and against teams that they should beat, which I hate, by the way. But if you get out to a good start and you have a winning record, say you're, 20 and 13 after 35 games or whatever it is, you can afford to rest somebody on a night or two.
Exactly. So hopefully that happens, and hopefully you pick up one of these hats from draft night. You can rock these all year long, by the way. Chatsports.com/NBA draft hats. That's where you can find this Mavericks one. Other teams available as well, but obviously we're repping the Mavs here. So pick one up today. Link is in the comments and to the description of this video. And I think number 3 is correlated to number 4 here, Coop. If you start out fast and play well throughout the season, your chances of securing a top 4 seed and getting home court, at least for some of the playoffs, is very, very critical in the Western Conference.
Yeah, you at least want to have home court in that first round, so that means getting a top 4 seed. Now, what does that look like? I believe the Mavs won 51 games in 21-22.
I think 50's got to be the benchmark.
They were the 4 seed, exactly. And 50 is doable with this Mavs roster. Yes, it's Luka and Kyrie, and then you're kind of looking who else is going to step up there. But with those 2 guys, I think anything is possible, and there's no ceiling you can put on this team.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think 50's the number. If you win 50 or more, and you're going to greater than 50% chance have a top 4 seed. So I think that's got to be the benchmark. Get to 50-plus wins, and you're going to be sitting pretty come postseason time. What will the Mavericks' record be this year? Speaking of which, I mean, I'll go 50 and 32. I'll just kind of cop-out answer there. Right at 50. 50 and 32. How about it, Coach?
I like 48 and 34.
Okay.
So I think they're going to be right around there, and they'll be fighting for that home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
Drop a win total in the comments. And then the final one here, Luka Doncic wins 2024 NBA MVP. Coop, I think Rick Carlisle watches Dallas Mavericks today.
He does.
For about 2 months now. We've kind of been starting this. It's going to be a Luka revenge tour, and Rick Carlisle in an interview recently said he believes this is the year that Luka wins MVP. Obviously, Coach Luka knows what he's all about.
Look at him.
All the reports, Cooper, that he's in great shape. I think Slovenia played today.
They did play today, and he had this unbelievable full court bounce pass that he hit for an easy layup to one of his teammates. He's back. He's in form. I think this is Luka's season for sure. And here's the thing. If Luka wins MVP, that does mean the Mavs win at least 50 games, and they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, and there was a loose report a couple months ago, Coop, or maybe a month ago now, that the Mavs want Luka to play at a lighter weight, and that he's played at a heavier weight for a couple reasons. Probably one, his regimen probably hasn't been perfect. But two, because he likes posting guys up, so he likes being 250, whatever it is, 240. I think he's going to probably play at more like 225 this year. And I still think he has enough raw strength that he's going to be able to post people up. But what hopefully he can do too is he's better suited to last throughout a season and be more agile throughout these games. Because what we've seen at times too, Coop, is where He'll ball out in the first half, but then by the fourth quarter, he's gassed. Hopefully, Kyrie being here just helps take that load off of him. But I think playing at 10 or 15 pounds lighter than normal will probably do him some good.
Yeah, that'll help. The usage rate will help, and hopefully the overall team will be better as well, and that'll help him out. It's going to be a big year for Luka. We talked about in our hot takes that we said he's going to win the MVP, and I'm kind of on that train too. I think this is the year and finally he puts it all together and wins that MVP.
And again, if he does that, winning a championship is at least a possibility. Show Luka some love. Type 77 down below. Shout out to Mr. Luka Doncic. And shout out to all of you for watching Mavericks today.
We appreciate you.
He's Jeffrey Cooperstein. I'm Harrison Graham. Subscribe for new coverage. We'll see you soon.